Hi, and welcome to this Affinity tutorial. In a recent video, I did a demonstration of the pen tool, and I wanted to do a tutorial where we put the pen tool into action. And I think these color blocking style of wall art, I think that's a really easy way to start using the pen tool because it doesn't require a high level of precision. There's a lot of latitude and it doesn't have to be perfect. And it will also give us a chance to work a little bit with color and gradients. So let's see how we can recreate this silhouette mountain image. So first thing I need to do is set up a new canvas. I'm going to go to File, New, and I'm just doing this in letter size. So I'm choosing the letter preset, and I am going to not have a transparent background on this one. And I don't need to have any margins. I don't need any bleed or anything like that. So I do want it to be, though, in landscape mode, and that's only because my reference photo is also in landscape mode. So let's take a look at my reference photo. So I found this on Pexels. Even though we're going to take a little bit of license with the tracing of this, I always want to work from an image that is free to use and is in the public domain. So find a photo that is in the public domain. The keywords on this is silhouette of mountains during daytime, and it's on Pexels if you want to find that exact one. So now we have our canvas. Let's place our reference image. So I have a copy of it saved on my desktop already. So we'll go to File and Place. And I will find my image here. There it is. You can see I saved it in 2022. I've been pondering this tutorial for a very long time. And I'm just going to stretch it out a little bit. And then just kind of reposition it a little bit so that it fills the canvas, and I've captured the part that I really want to include in here. I'm going to pick which part I want to have on my screen because the dimensions are not quite the same as my canvas here. And the last thing I want to do with this layer selected is I want to lock it. And that way, as I trace over it, my reference image is not going to move around. So the next thing I'm going to do is I need to back out just a little bit. I'm going to grab the rectangle tool and starting in the corner, and I will just point out that I have snapping on, and that's why you're seeing these guidelines pop up. I'm just going to draw out a shape that is the whole size of my canvas. And that's all I really need to do, except that now I can't see my reference image. So in the opacity in the layers panel, I'm just going to turn it way down to 25% for now. All right, so I'm going to work from the back forward, and I'm not going to trace every little detail. I'm just going to do 3 layers of mountain ranges here. So we'll take the pen tool, and for the mode, I am going to click Smart Mode. That tries to predict which type of node you want, square or round, kind of based on what's before it. Now it's giving me mostly round nodes, which is actually what I want. What I have found is the sharp node is just a little bit much for a natural shape like that, even though mountains do have some craggy peaks. And I'm just clicking along here, and I will go to the complete other end here. I'm putting more points where there's a little bit of dips and stuff, and I'm putting fewer points where there's straighter stretches. So now I want to complete this loop. So I'm going to go down here to the bottom corner. I'm going to go down here to the bottom corner and back up to this one. Now you'll see because my smart mode defaulted to round nodes that we've got this huge curve here. So what I'm going to do is go to the node tool up here, and we'll select this node here, hold Shift, click this node here, and we'll convert both of those to sharp. And then I'm just going to grab this little handle here and just tuck it in so it's pretty straight, so we have a nice straight line here. And same thing with this. Just grab this and just tuck it in so it's a little straighter. And then while I'm here, I'm just going to make just a few little adjustments. And I think I'm okay with pretty much everything else on this. And so there's my first layer. So now let's give that some color. So in the color, I'm going to take the stroke off. So we will click on this donut to bring it to the foreground. And then I'm going to click on this little circle with the line through it. And then I'm going to click on the solid circle, which is my fill. And you'll note that the lightest color's in the back and the darkest color's in the front. So let's pick a blue. And we'll pick a fairly light colored blue. This is just a placeholder color for now. We're going to do something a little later to give it a little bit of a dimension. But for now, we will just give it a solid color. So now same problem, we can't see our reference image. So same thing, let's click on this layer we just made, and let's just take the opacity way down. Now we can grab the pen tool, and I will pick this layer here that's kind of this medium color, and we'll do the same thing. So, and I'm not getting too fussy about tracing this precisely. And we'll drop down to the corner and complete our loop. Go to the node tool, shift, convert to square, and that's our next layer done. So this turned out pretty straight, and we can just tuck this in a little bit to make this wall a little straight. Now let's give this a fill color. So this one will be just a little bit darker, and that layer's done. We'll take the opacity down on that one, and I'm not going to bother with this little guy here. We're just going to kind of incorporate that into this front layer. So I will speed up the video just a little bit because I'm just going to do the same thing. Okay, and then we are going to put a darker color on that. And then let's just go to the node tool and let's just see what we've got. Let's take all of our opacities up a little more so we can kind of see what we've got and see if we want to make any tweaks. So I'm pretty happy with this back range. That looks pretty realistic. This one I think could maybe use a little tweaking. It's a little rounded, so I'm going to click on this one and we'll zoom way in so that you can see what I'm doing. But I'm just going to click this node and I'm going to take these side handles and just draw them in a little bit. So if I make this a square point, it becomes just a little too angular. It doesn't look natural anymore. I'm going to do the same thing over here. I'm just going to take in the handles. That will give it a little bit more of a point, but still have a rounded tip to it. And let's come and look over here. I think we could maybe stand to have something a little bit more angular up here as well. And you can just kind of mess with these a little bit. Twist them around to try and get a little bit more angulation. I think that might be too much. Okay. So you get the idea. So we are going to, I think just one more, we're going to take in the handles and squish them in a little bit just to make that a little pointier. Okay, the next thing we're going to do is we're going to create some coloration on this. So I'm going to turn off my top 3 layers and we'll start with the background here. I've turned off my image here because we don't need this really anymore. We're going to just kind of make our own coloration on this. And the other thing is I want to make sure that all of my layers now have the opacity all the way up. So I'm going to click on each of them turn up the opacity so that it's all back at 100%. So with this rectangle selected, I'm going to click on the Fill tool. And over up here, Context Fill type will be linear. And that put a left to right gradient across my screen. So I'm going to drag the darker one down to the bottom here, drag the lighter part of it up to the top here. Now I'm going to click on this little square here, and let's choose some colors for it. So I'm going to click on this dot here. This is my darker side. Click on the color square, and I'm going to do this kind of in a pink to blue. So we'll kind of find a nice pink here. Remember, this darker part's going to get blocked out by the mountain, so we're really kind of looking at this upper part. Then I'm going to click on this dot here, and if you look at sunset pictures, you will see that it usually has like the coloration is pink or orange here, like this, and then it fades to blue. So I'm going to try that. I'm going to turn on the mountain on top of it. And I'm going to take this little line here and just kind of scooch it up a little bit, just so we see a little bit more of the pink showing through of our sky behind there. All right, I'm happy with that. Let's move on to the next mountain, and let's do the same thing. Got the Fill tool. Type will be linear. And I'm going to move part of it up here. I'm going to make it so that it's up and down instead of left to right. And you can put this anywhere you want. If you want to kind of play with where the light is coming from, you can adjust that. So I'm going to click again on this color here. And because this is going to be my lightest layer, if we take a look at our reference photo, the lightest mountain is in the back. So I'm going to click on this dot and the color, and lighten that up a little bit. Click on the other dot and also lighten that up a bit. So something like that. And then I'm going to turn on my next layer, and this one I think I want to see some sunshine here. So let's go back to this one. And let's change this to a radial one. And so now we've got kind of more of a circle sort of gradient. And so I'm just going to kind of move this around and just kind of play with it. So now it looks like there's some sunshine hitting in this kind of crook of this hill here. I like that better. Okay, so now let's go to this layer here. And we will put a gradient here, and I will make this one linear again. Move this dot to the bottom, move the lighter dot to the top here. And then we will adjust the color again. So click this dot, color, and this is going to be a little bit darker. Maybe something like that. And then the other side. Maybe like that. And then we'll turn on our third one. And we will do the same thing, Fill tool, and click this side. And we're going to go almost navy with this one. And let's adjust our gradient so that I'm going to put it over here at the top of this mountain. Kind of just play with what looks good. I think like that. And then we'll go back to adjusting the color, and I'll click on this dot, and we'll find a blue. Kind of like that. All right. So now we have our image done. We've got 4 layers. We've got our background layer and our 3 mountain ranges. What I also wanted to say is what you could now do with this is you could export these layers and send them to your Cricut and create kind of like a shadow box with 3 different layers. I probably would not print then cut these because it would take a lot of ink. But if you wanted to, you could print then cut them. But you could also just send them to your Cricut as PNGs and cut them out of different types of paper, different colored paper, and then assemble them in a shadow box frame. So let me just give you a quick how to do that. So I'm going to go here to the export persona, and I'm going to click on this little arrow, which is slice selection tool, and just drag over my entire screen, right click and create slice. So now that has created each layer as its own individual slice. And I can expand this, and it's already set for PNG. If you wanted to, you could also choose SVG. Now, if we are making SVGs, there's extra steps we need to do to this. So if you're just going to strictly cut it out, then I would go with PNG. So we will take the PNGs and hit export slices, and it'll ask you where to save it, and you will do that, and then you can load those up into your design space. All right, so I hope you found that this was a fun little tutorial, and I think it's a great way to start practicing the pen tool with a really easy project that has some satisfying results. Thanks for watching.